Oh. You're welcome? Welcome back to another class, everyone. If you haven't already heard by now, everyone's favorite conehead, Ki-Adi-Mundi, is finally coming in a Lightspeed bundle for just $20 here very soon. And while everybody's really excited because he's not a very accessible character, I want to take a little bit of time to really dig into the data to see just how good this pack really is. And there you have it, Ki-Adi-Mundi himself. Now you might be asking, if you're not super informed or you haven't needed to go after him for a while, why is he such a pain to get? And it really boils down to the fact that as of right now, he is locked pretty exclusively behind Get 3. So unless you're going back and doing the previous TV, which I would not recommend that for a number of reasons, you're not only locked behind a really expensive character, but one that's going to be very time consuming. Because even if you're in one of the better guilds getting a great amount of Get 3, it's still going to take you more than 9 months to farm him. This becomes very problematic when you realize that while he's good in a lot of game modes, the game mode that he's best in, being the raid, only lasts about 9 months at a time, meaning there's really no point in farming him at all right now unless you're already a decent way down the road. Now that being said, for $20, you can have this character completely unlocked. Now, to find the overall value for this pack, we're going to compare it to several other Lightspeed bundles that have come before it. But we're going to have to do the calculation a little bit differently. Because we cannot get Ki-Adi-Mundi shards through crystals like we can a lot of other characters, and because really that's the majority of the value when it comes to this pack. It's not the Chirotechs that come along with them because he needs 400 to get to Gear 13. It's not even the signal data that he's needed to get him to all the way up to Relic 5. It's the fact that his shards are costing you a ridiculous amount of Get 3, and if you were to take that same Get 3 and instead of farming him, farm Chirotech like most people have been doing for the last year, you would get a ridiculous amount of Chirotech that way. So breaking the math down here, well, I promise this will make sense by the time we get to the end of it. A cam shard costs you 425 currency. One Chirotech costs you 60 currency in Get 3. Now, when we do the math, that means for every single cam shard that you have to buy the normal way, you are giving up 7 Chirotech that if you were to have to purchase them in crystals would cost you a lot more. More on that later. Which means if we take those 425 price per shard of Ki-Adi-Mundi and we times it by 330, which is how many shards you need to get him to 7 stars from 0, it comes out to the same value of 2,337 Chirotech. That is the Chirotech you give up if you do not get the pack and you just go the super slow method of farming him up using Get 3 material. Now with that number, we can start to have a more apples to apples comparison with some of the other Lightspeed bundle packs, because the characters for them, like Luminar and Asajj, were pretty easy to get, but they typically had multiple characters that had a lot of Chirotech along the way. So scrolling up, we'll get to all of our values here, and this is highlighting a few of the previous packs we've had. The Padme pack, the Night Sister pack, the Geo 3PO, and then the kind of the Junk Jedi one that was the most recent. And when we compare the amount of Chirotech that you would be essentially getting for free if you were to get these other packs, you can see that it's a pretty low number, because most of these packs, they involved having about 5 or maybe 6 characters that only had the 100 Chirotech at the Gear 13 level because they're really old characters. Ki-Adi-Mundi is not the oldest character in the game, but he's also not the newest. So the 2300 number we were looking for Chirotech before, we actually have to add 400 more into that because he needs more Chirotech when you level him up all the way. Now, if you were to go and again buy those Chirotechs and crystals, you will see that it would cost you 76,000 crystals to make up for the Chirotech you're giving up by going after Ki-Adi-Mundi. That equates to about $487,000, and then we do a little bit of math for the amount of signal data that he's needed, or the amount of crystals that you need to get the signal data that he needs, and it comes out to about 18 bucks, which really isn't much. In fact, the pack is more expensive than that. So from the overall view of leveling Cam up, from a gear and relic perspective, he's really not that expensive of a character. It's the fact that you're giving up 2,000 Chirotech to be able to do it. So if you get this pack and you can continue to farm Chirotech the way you have been with Get 3, it overall has a value of roughly $500. And even if you say, Calvin, I only buy specifically the really good Chirotech pack that can sometimes give double, it almost doesn't matter. $250 worth of Kyrotech if you were getting the really good pack out there. That's still 12 times more than the overall pack costs at $20. Now you might be saying, okay, kind of makes sense because of the math we're doing, but at the same time, Ki-Adi-Mundi really just isn't worth $20 as a character. And while there might be some validity to that, I would encourage people to take a look at what your guild is currently doing in the raid and kind of evaluate based off of that. Because as it currently stands right now, one of the 5 teams for the raid is completely locked behind this team. We will be doing more videos about how to use Ki-Adi-Mundi, how to mod him, and everything like that. But one of the important things is taking into account what he's doing in the raid. And as it currently stands, we have a dark side team. There's a number of ways to use it. There's a Gungan, there's a Queen Amidala, there is a Lumi and Kit Fisto team, and then really, Keller and Beck has almost no legs to stand on if you do not have Ki-Adi-Mundi, and it really boils down to the fact that his unique is going to be giving the support and healer roles on his team an incredible amount of damage based off of their max health, which also gets increased in the raid. And of course, you can see Shakti, Ayla. There's a lot of characters that meet that support or healer role within the Galactic Republic faction. Now, again, there are other ways to use Cam outside of this game mode, but that really is the highest priority right now, because not only are you going to be saving things in the long run by buying Kyrotech with your Get 3 instead of farming Cam, hopefully, if enough people in your guild do this, you will actually be able to bump up in a box or two, and you'll get even more rewards back that way. So again, as always, Lightspeed bundles make absolutely no sense to buy if you're 100% pure free to play. I'm not sure why you'd be watching a video about a pack in the first place, even if you are. Maybe just want to be up and up on the efficiencies. But if you do buy and you want Ki-Adi-Mundi for the raid and to be able to use them in other events, I really would encourage you to do so, because the alternative of not spending $20 is 2,000 Kyrotech worth of Get 3 that you would have to get, assuming they don't change anything in the way that he's currently being farmed, and I don't think they do. I think this is their solution, is essentially just to pay the $20 for it and be done with it. Also, it is a little bit cheaper, or should be cheaper, on the web store or the PC client, so it might come out to $18, and there might actually be more value in it. But ultimately, that's going to be up to you guys. But thank you for watching. Hope everything made sense. And until the next time, stay awesome.